The life of Jesse James. Jesse Woodson James was born on September 5, 1847, in Clay County, Missouri. Him and his family were Southern transplants from Kentucky. Jesse's parents were Robert James and Zerelda James. Jesse was the second son to them. The first son was Franklin James, Jesse's older brother. Robert was a successful farmer and a Baptist minister,
and moved to Clay County, Missouri to help found William Jewell College in Liberty, also in Missouri. Jesse was the second son of the couple. They gave birth to two more.
Robert Jr., who died an infant, and Susan Lavania.
The James family lived on a 100-acre farm in Centerville, now named Kearney.
The James family had 6 enslaved folk, including children. Slavery was an act in the 1800s where black people were forced to work for free against their will. They were often treated poorly and were sold at auctions. Robert's business was successful, and the people of the church saw him as a future leader. When Robert heard of gold in California, he informed his family that he had been dispatched and left for California with other gold miners, never to be seen by his family again. The Civil War was a war in the 1860s between the Union Army and the Confederate Army about who wanted slaves and who wanted slaves to be free. America was split into two sides at that time, meaning there was a lot of conflict between people who lived there.
During the Civil War, 16-year-old Jesse joined the Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers were guerrillas on the Confederate side who fought as a militia against the Union. People often saw Bushwhackers as heroes. Jesse joined the Bushwhackers because Confederate troops were kicked out of Missouri by the Union. When Jesse was badly shot, he was forced to surrender to the Union.
Jesse's wound was treated by his cousin, Zerelda Mins. Jesse later on married her.
Jesse and the Confederates, who included Frank James, Jesse's older brother, had lost the war, ending the Civil War with a Union victory. Jesse was enraged by their treatment by the Union, and him and his brother decided to become outlaws to continue the battle against authority further. Jesse and his brother robbed small banks over the years, but his name remained unheard of. The brothers then robbed the bank where Samuel Cox, the man who killed the Bushwhackers' leader, was behind the counter, or so Jesse thought.
He shot the man thinking he was Samuel. However, Samuel Cox did work there, but he was not at the counter at that time.
It was this robbery that arose the legend of Jesse James and his thirst for vengeance. After robbing banks and stagecoaches, Jesse James appreciated his fame and let it fuel him. He is also famous for jumping Devil's Gulch in South Dakota when escaping the law. Some believe Jesse was a kind of hero, but Jesse was no hero. He was a notorious outlaw led by revenge.
$1,000 bounty was set on Jesse James, dead or alive. Jesse hired mercenaries for protection for him and his brother,
while the law hired a detective agency, the Pinkertons. Because the James brothers were somewhat supported by a bit of the population, a Pinkerton was shot and killed. A note in his pocket read, "This is what happens to who challenges the James." But head of the Pinkertons, Alan Pinkerton, saw this as a challenge. The Pinkertons came to Jesse's mother's house for revenge. They threw Molotov cocktails at the home to warn the family to leave the house.
One of the bottles exploded, killing one of the young kids who were just a child.
Jesse James put together a veteran Confederate group to launch a huge raid. It started a huge gunfight. The raid was a failure and killed many of Jesse's troops. Jesse's group was captured and destroyed. Jesse and his brother escaped and hid for some time, using false identities.
Jesse put together their group without Frank to rob trains.
Jesse became a huge problem, so the law set a huge reward for anyone who captured any of the James brothers.
Jesse had two new partners, Charlie and Robert Ford, but Robert Ford was planning to betray Jesse and turn him into the governor.
He would then claim the bounty. Jesse sat down to clean a dusty painting, and Robert Ford took the opportunity to kill Jesse James, ending the great legend of Jesse Woodson James.